All right, Akim, Shalom, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Akwatham and listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai, back in here with another quick and Lord's will, as always, an edifying lesson. And for today's lesson, I kind of just wanted to share some exhibits exhibits that I saw in one of the museums in Montreal, and it was mostly just featuring a couple of things that Gad had actually essentially had done, right? Using the resources of the land. So I don't really know what I want to title the lesson, but it's going to be just showing. It's just a showcase of some of the things I noticed amongst the different tribes, primarily Gad, right? So on the screen here it's a parka, right? So this is what it looks like. Can't really see it. I want to read it for a second. So this is what it says. This is the description here, right? So it says it's made from, they believe it's either walrus intestines, sealskin, sinew, cotton, right? So here it says, it is thought that the invention of this type of highly protective parka dates back to at least 5,000 years. So the Inuit were making use of waterproof material long before the advent of rubber and plastic. Unlike these substances, moreover, the intestinal membrane allows perspiration to evaporate. This parka demonstrates among the traditional societies a principle that effectively meets a set of needs can remain unchanged. This philosophy is the very antithesis of one of the driving societies based on rampant consumerism, right? So it was made. One of the things that stuck out to me about these things is that they were made. What Gad did, what they would use the so-called Native Americans and the northern tribes. They use a lot of natural things, and that's what Jake normally does, right? Even amongst the southern tribes as well, but primarily for this lesson, I'm just going to be focusing on some of the things that the northern tribes, primarily you so-called Native Americans, had done, right? And it kind of reminded me of something that I read about in Tobit, the 6th chapter, right? So this is one of the exhibits, right? So primarily, I kind of want to focus on this lesson is the fact that Jake is extremely talented. They're very, very resourceful. They're very they know how to they're essentially they're the righteous seed, right? As opposed to the society that we live in, it shows a complete contrast in the vibration as such, right? The scriptures talk about how an unwise king destroyed his people because in contrast, we don't, like, for example, let me go back to it. When we go to the store, we don't we don't buy products that are essentially helping our bodies. We buy a bunch of products that are destroying our bodies, right? And that's it's a very subtle way. It's not like very, very overt. It's more covert. It's more hidden. It's more um, it's more like I said, covert, basically, right? So for example, you buy lotions for your skin. The lotions have all these different chemicals. The makeup has different chemicals, for you women. The water has fluoride in it. All these different subtle different avenues that have all these different ways. So that's things that are supposed to be beneficial for us, that are actually very detrimental to us. You kind of have to, spend a lot more money to kind of essentially have a clean state of health in this society, right? Because your food, for example, has pesticides, it has GMOs, it's riddled with chemicals that are detrimental for your brain, your kidneys, your livers, and so on and so forth. And this is the vibration, of us living under an unwise king. As a matter of fact, let me read that because I just quoted it. Let me just bear with me on this. This says, okay, I'll start at the top. This is Sirach 10 and 1, and it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, and so are his officers, and what manner of the man the city of the ruler, of the city is, are such that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them, which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. So this is the vibration under Esau. Because like the scriptures say, the soul that is lifted up in him is not upright. So this is what he does. He creates things that are essentially based like the way he thinks, right? So, so for example, we buy a lot of fabrics that are mixed, mixed fabrics, and B, a lot of fabrics that are essentially detrimental to our bodies, like your polyesters, things that are highly, highly carcinogenic and don't allow heat to actually, essentially, instead of being trapped in it essentially what it does, the polyester, it keeps the heat in rather than actually allowing your body to let the heat kind of come out. Basically, that's what I'm trying to get at, right? As opposed to something like linen, which is a natural fiber, which is able to keep the heat. It can keep, like, it works both ways. So you can wear it you can wear it in the winter and you can wear it in the summer too, right? And it's a natural fiber made from flax. But I kind of just wanted to go into the manner of Jake being resourceful and showing you the contrast of the kind of society that we live in that's very, very different. So let me just go back to it. So primarily they were using a lot of natural what's it called natural ingredients, basically. Let me get, hold on, let me get a preset for that. Okay. Let's go to Sirach. As a matter of fact, let me go to okay, I'll just start off with Jeremiah, actually. Okay, Jeremiah 51 verse 19, and it says, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name, right? So, we are essentially the talented people. We are the Most High's people. We are chosen people. We are the skilled people. We are those people that are essentially, we're gifted with all these different talents. We know how to, essentially we're better than the other nations, right? And what makes us also better and elevated above these other nations is because we have this law, statutes, and commandments, right? That puts us upon the elevation, and these other nations are supposed to look to us as an example of how they need to be, right? But in this society, because we fell away from the Most High, we lost a lot of that knowledge. Like the scriptures say, the gold has become dim. Because of that, the nations don't look to us as people who are, respectable, because we don't respect our power. We don't respect our Heavenly Father and His Son. We because of that, the nations look to us as a joke. We're essentially like an eyesore, basically. We're just people who, we're just there for entertainment. That's all we are. We're not somebody who's treated respectably, right? Okay, so let me go to, it says, okay, so this is a needle case I also saw. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So this was like a little traditional sewing kit. And it says here, a needle case was part of the traditional sewing kit and had several components. The needles were stuck into a small piece of skin, which was used to make minor repairs, and often a thimble were attached to the end of the needle case along with sinew threads. So all right, so just to zoom in so you can see. All right. I want to show you the sinew threads in a second. Here it says, hold on, so where was I? Okay, so it says a seamstress would carry the case on her chest attached to her coat. In northern regions, these kits were crucial to survival, right? So here it says ivory, glass beads, and cotton thread, right? Okay, let's move to the next one. So this is what the thimble looks like, right? So this is part of the sewing kit. Right, and this is the sinew thread here. So it was used from the tendons of a caribou. So essentially, you know, what God was doing, they were using the things out of the earth to be able to, you know, remedy and alleviate their situation, right? And Jake does the same thing, you know, to some extent today when they have like the little, you know, so-called black businesses and, you know, they might go off, you know, here and there, but generally Jake has the mindset of actually trying to, you know, do particular things, right, and keep it, you know, natural, that works in tandem with their bodies. You know, they don't naturally do things that work against their bodies. You know, a lot of Jakes, for example, you know, they're very into juicing and cleansing and, you know, making natural body products that, you know, alleviate the skin rather than cause irritation and cause all these different plethora of different problems, right? They're using things and ingredients out of the earth, right? Let me get that. Okay, this is Sirach 38, and I'll start at verse 1, and it says, honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hath created him. For of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. Honor, it says, verse 3, excuse me, and it says, the skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them, right? So, you know, it just shows you, you know, the Lord has created medicines and, you know, things of that nature out of the earth for us to use, you know, and that comes with, you know, wisdom, that comes with, you know, us actually being so nigh unto the Lord. And this is what, you know, we're coming back into that, you know, that glory state, you know, because we've lost a lot of that that information, that wisdom, that knowledge. You know, I remember I heard one of the elders, they said, you know, our forefathers, essentially, they were very, very knowledgeable men, right? You know, we're not, you know, essentially the bumbling idiots, or, you know, these, you know, like, you know, these sitcom fathers that you see on TV, you know, they portray Jake as, you know, a wild animal, as a pit bull, as unruly, you know, as uncultured. You know, we're not, you know, those types of, you know, type of men that you see on these different sitcoms and these different movies and different TV shows. You know, one of my favorite movies was that movie Hancock, right? And, you know, in the movie with Will Smith, you know, despite the fact that he's so powerful, at the same time, you know, it shows you the mentality and the mental state of Jake, because, you know, the movie opens up and he has the he's drunk, he's passed out, like his, you know, he needs this other guy to kind of like bring him back to his senses, basically, so he can operate as somebody who has some type of, who's respectable, so on and so on, right? You know, he's not easy, he's extremely strong, you know, like we are, you know, because the you know, going back to I think it's in Genesis, where it says one people shall be stronger than the other, right? You know, we are a strong people, you know, other than in comparison to these other nations, but, you know, it shows you the mentality. Jake's mentality isn't fully there, right? They're not nigh unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? That's why his mental was all over the place. I'll read verse 4 again, and it says, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. Right. So it just shows you, the Lord has created these different medicines, and this is what they were doing. They were using the animals. I think as also as well they were also doing what was it called, the buffalo as well. They were using the buffalo for its medicinal purposes as well, for lifestyle purposes. And then I believe it was President Andrew Jackson that in order to kind of get at Gad and kind of control Gad and exterminate them, they decided to exterminate the buffalo. That's what they called it, the Buffalo Massacre. So you see how Esau is the devil, right? Okay, I believe that's the last one. So yeah. Okay, let me just read this here just to show you. So it says the caribou tendons used to make thread are stretched on a panel and cleaned, and when they are wet, the sinew threads swell, completely blocking the holes made by the needle and rendering the seams waterproof. Right. So they were using parts of the animal to be able to perform duties in their their daily lives. Right. So it just shows you how talented and how resourceful our people naturally are. Right. Even on a higher level, it shows you that when they're very nigh unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Right. So when I went there, I kind of wanted to, it reminded me of this account in the book of Tobit as well, because I believe Tobit, he was of the tribe of Naphtali. Let me just get that. Hold on. Just bear with me. Okay, Khan. So this is just for edification's sake. This is Tobit 1:1, and I'll get the account. This is the book of the words of Tobit, the son of Tobiah, the son of Ananiah, the son of Aduel, the son of Gabriel, the seed of Asael, of the tribe of Naphtali. So he was one of those tribes, one of those 10 tribes, right? And essentially they got carried away captive, and then they into the Assyrian captivity, and then they journeyed. They made that 1.5 year journey, and they came to Arsareth, onto this side of the world, right? So, and that's in 2nd Ezra 13. So so the account I wanted to essentially read. So after Tobit, he loses his eyesight. It reminded me of this account here, the example of the resourcefulness in in the tribes, right? So okay, just bear with me on this. Okay, this is Tobit chapter 6. Okay, I'll just read verse 1 down to verse 8. So just in context, Tobias, Tobit's son, they go to take a journey, essentially to retrieve some money, and they so I'll just read it, just for edification. So it says verse 1, and it says, and as they went on their journey, they came in the evening to the river Tigris and lodged there. And when the young man went down to wash himself, a fish leaped out of the river and would have devoured him. And then the angel said unto him, take the fish. And the young man laid hold of the fish and drew it to the land. To whom the angel said, open the fish, take the heart and the liver and the gall, and put them up safely. And it says, verse 5, so the young man did as the angel commanded him, and when they had roasted the fish and they did eat it, then they both went their way and drew near to Ecbatan. At verse 6, and it says, Then the young man said to the angel, Brother Azarias, to what use is the heart and the liver and the gall of the fish? So, he's asking, what is the purpose of, using these different, body parts in this fish, right? What's going on here, right? So this is what he says. And he said unto him, touching the heart of the liver, if the devil or an evil spirit trouble any, we must make a smoke thereof before the man or the woman, and party shall be no more vexed. As for the gall, here's really the point. And it says, as for the gall, it is good to anoint a man it is good to anoint a man that hath whiteness in his eyes, and he shall be healed, right? So, they were using different parts of the fish, for their different purposes, right? And this is the part, where they get the gall, and the gall was used to remove the whiteness in Tobit's eyes, because Tobit had been blinded, right? So that's what I wanted to read that account because it shows you the knowledges of the ancient. They actually knew about the herbs and the different purposes of different things upon the land, and and how to be able to use different things, and and the purposes they can serve them in essentially in righteousness, right? So it shows you the ways of the ancient had far superseded the ways of this modern state that we're in. And that the irony is a lot of people believe that the modern state that we live in today, it's like they call it so-called progressive, and really and truly when you look at the state of the earth, the state of the earth is it's waxing old. It doesn't yield the strength as it should, because we're being ruled over somebody who is unrighteous, right? I believe that's in Second Ezra. Just bear with me 1 second. What's that? Second Ezra 14 and 10, and it says, For the world has lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old, right? So the world is not able to essentially yield its strength, because like the scriptures say, the rulers thereof have transgressed thy laws. They don't actually keep the laws of the Heavenly Father to actually be able to replenish the earth. Right now, today, this is an example. This is a minor example. You have a lot of these nations experiencing a fertility crisis. They don't have they have these different policies that they put in place, right? And they don't have a replenishing population to be able to take care of the elderly, right? And one of our commands was to actually be fruitful and multiply, right? You have, for example, a lot of these companies, they don't actually practice, the land Sabbath. And that's very, very crucial and important. So the soil actually is able to recharge and able to acquire important nutrients to be able to yield and actually nurture, good seeds as well. But, we live in a society that doesn't practice these things, right? So, I believe that's pretty much it. Okay, I guess I'll end off. Laptop just died. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I kind of just wanted to bring some edification for that, and actually show some resourcefulness of the tribes, and also show some some not parallels per se, but show some differences in the mentality of Israelites and the things that they did, in contrast to the way things that Esau does, and it shows you that we're not living in a society that's conducive to life. Yahushua said, if the days are not shortened, they shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, the days shall be shortened, right? So, we're living in a time where, people don't, we don't, the life expectancy is essentially not as long as it used to be, right? And that's part of that, weakening. The men, their testosterone isn't as high as it used to be. The women, for example, they're more concerned about killing their, let me not, well, I said it already. Often their babies rather than actually nurturing them, right? This is the vibration of an unwise king. As a matter of fact, I'll end off with this precept here. Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon 6:24. And it says, but the multitude of the wise is in the welfare of the world, and an unwise king is upholding of the people. Receive therefore instruction through my words, and it shall do you good, right? So it shows you the Heavenly Father's ways, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's ways, are above our ways to be able to maintain the cleanliness and the welfare of the world, right? But this is what, Esau doesn't understand because he's backwards, right? This is why we need a righteous rulership on this planet, with the Israelites, being in order, right? Under who the world calls Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, right? Being ruling this planet in righteousness, right? That's how we're going to have a kingdom, that is essentially being fruitful and working in our favor rather than working against us, right? So, anyways, I'll leave it there, but hopefully this video was edifying. I'd just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Until next time, I say Shalom.